guys, I am very much aware of the "it's been happening all along" theory. I haven't contributed to it, but I'm expecting you're all feeling very vindicated by now. And you're so correct for it. Hello guys, Editing Joe here. Just to say that the video is a bit late today because, well, shit happened. We had a huge storm from Tuesday to Wednesday and I woke up with no power. I talk more about it at the end of the video, but yeah, I managed to record eventually because the power slowly came back. But even after I managed to record, I just spent, honestly, the rest of the day obsessing with this hurricane news because I was just so confused as to how the military wasn't coming in when there were people that didn't have enough money for hotels or flights and couldn't go on the highway because there was no gas and the highway was literally congested. And I just couldn't get out of like watching the news and watching the TikToks of people who are literally staying behind. Like someone tried to evacuate and they couldn't because the highway was completely congested and had to return to their home and like risk their life. Anyway, I hope you're all safe, and if you can, I hope you enjoy the video. You will notice that the video is really dark because the power came like little by little, and you'll notice that I'm slouching a lot and I'm very low energy because it was a rough night. But yeah, I'm going to upload it, go check the news, go have some lunch and watch Agatha all along, possibly prepare the video for Saturday. It might come later because there's another storm coming tomorrow and the power might be out again. And I know that some of you worry, but I'm legitimately safe. The houses here are built like really sturdy, and there was somewhere a crane that fell on some residential buildings and everyone was okay because the houses are like all built in stone and cement and are very safe. I mean, in my mom's garden, there was like these two huge concrete poles that were holding a grapevine that were uprooted and fell. And the house was still fine. It's nothing to worry about apart from power outages and uprooted trees and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you're all okay and you enjoyed the video. See you hopefully Saturday. The only thing I don't get about this murder wall is, where do all the photos come from? There's a bunch of Charles photos, which is always the same photo. There's a Team Kono photo, and there's a bunch of Jan photos. And how did they have the notes? How did they have the access to the note from Jan? Because supposedly the only material that Mabel brought to the house was a material related to this season's crime. Did they drive back to the Arconia, opened up Mabel's apartment, and got the stuff from there during the night? But anyway, I'm very happy for the people who have invested hours of their time over the years investigating this. It's been happening all along theory. Very happy for you guys. I've recently joined the community of people online who are talking about this show, and it's a very fun one. So I'm really happy for everyone who's been here for a long time and has been working towards figuring this out for a long time. Now I have to say this. I want nothing more than to see Kathryn Hahn being the big bad, the final boss, and then having a reveal scene, kind of like it's been Agatha all along. I know it's cheesy, I know it's not gonna happen, but it would make my year. I would shit my pants. If that woman appears as the big bad boss at the end, the Moriarty type figure that's been doing this all along, I will shit my pants. I mean, the shows are being streamed by the same streaming service. They're both on Disney+. I already know who everyone is going to think is the big final boss. I know. But now knowing that it's been happening all along theory is canon, I think I'm finally ready to let go of my theory that it was someone from the poker crew. It wouldn't make sense because then Charles would know if they were living in the building and had all this access. I also feel like this leans against the theory that Saz faked her own death. However, I had a very dark thought. Sometimes shows suffer from the syndrome that's called knowing too many fan theories, spending too much time on Reddit, reading fan theories. If this goes into a sort of breaking the fourth wall situation, or if it just becomes fan service, I won't like it. Computer out of the wall. In regards to the episode itself, I was pissed the moment it started. Because Mabel, my girl, why on earth would you share the location of your safe house with Howard? The idiot cannot keep his mouth shut. Mabel, be serious. Like, I don't remember the first seasons that well because I didn't rewatch any of it before starting to watch season 4, but I thought it was grounded in reality way more than this season because, I mean, the actors having all of the materials to build the wall, even though Mabel probably wouldn't have brought them because they were from the cases from season 1. Mabel being so careless about the safe house, and then as soon as Bev Mellon appears, they just ignore it. It's like she could be a suspect, but whatever, we're safe. It just it stops feeling a bit grounded and it starts feeling more like a TV show, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But before we go into the episode, let's analyze once again the title of the episode, which this time is called The Valley of the Dolls. This is, of course, a movie. This one is actually way more well-known than some of the previous ones. And I think it's well-known for being shit. I think it's one of those kind of movies that was made unironically, but then became camp because it was so campy that it became like a reference for a camp film, even though that was not the intention. You know, kind of like that Tommy Wiseau film. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there's literally no connection between the title of the film and the episode apart from the House of Dolls, House of Horrors, that we walk in this episode. But still, I want to discuss this film and how it could be connected in a very pulling something out of a hat situation, you know? It doesn't seem very realistic, but maybe there is a connection. I'll explore it. I'm gonna leave a timestamp on the description if you want to skip this part, because I genuinely don't think that this film, or at least for the current season, is very helpful in the investigation, so just skip it if you don't want to watch this part. So, Valley of the Dolls is a 1967 film that is supposed to be criticism towards Hollywood. I haven't watched it, but from what I read, it's supposed to criticize Hollywood for being like this very rotten place that appears to be dreamlike, but isn't. In the film, there are 3 main characters, 3 women, 3 young women, who are trying to make it in Hollywood, but just fall into the dark abyss of drug addiction. I want to read you the most popular Rotten Tomatoes review because it's kind of funny and explains it very well. Trashy, campy, soapy, and melodramatic. Valley of the Dolls may be a dud as a Hollywood expose, but has nonetheless endured as a kitsch classic. I didn't know what kitsch meant, but it just means tacky, trashy. And trying to relate this to the film, I could find only one explanation: the drug connection. The characters in the film fall into drug addiction. In Only Murders in the Building, there's a subtle hint to possible drug addiction or something like that in the Brothers-Sisters movie. Because if you remember, Mabel said that it was a cautionary tale for sugar. And this could be connected to Charles because, as one of my commenters pointed out, Charles in the past did a commercial for saccharin. For those who didn't know, I didn't. Saccharin is one of the oldest sweeteners in existence, apparently. And we know that in old Hollywood, actors used to promote all sorts of shit, like cigarettes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Hello. And Time magazine's review of Valley of the Dolls goes like this. The cliche of show business as a dream world may have been wide-eyed and saccharine, which in this case means like overly sweet or overly sentimental. And in my crazy theorist delusional brain, I'm thinking Charles advertising for saccharine in the past represents Charles's promotion or adherence to Hollywood as this dreamland, this place beyond magic, and falling into the traps of this industry. You know, like the characters in the film. If we take it further, the trio could follow in the same path, because in this season, they sign away their life rights, and it's already caused problems for them because the brother-sisters literally had the right to go into their apartments and install secret cameras without their knowing. And in contrast to this, we have the sisters pre-Hollywood, Dudenoff and Pink Eye Guy, when they made that film as a cautionary tale about sugar, which could represent the dream world, fantasy world that Hollywood is supposed to be, you know. Stay off sugar, stay off the entertainment industry, something like that. But in the end, the sisters also get themselves lost in it because, I mean, who can resist sugar? And this was genuinely the best connection I could make between the theme story of this film and Only Murders, but maybe it could be related to another episode, because I think that's something that these movie titles are doing, is that they're not only related to the episode they're in, but to other episodes in the show. Because, I mean, Gates of Heaven is a documentary about dead pets, and that's the title of the episode for episode 2, but we're finding out now officially that there is a link to dead pets with Winnie. So I think it's more complicated than just associating it to the episode where the title is. But let's look at the actual dolls. There are different types of dolls, with some of them being life-size dolls. I'm assuming that some of the dolls are stand-ins for her daughters, but she has more life-size dolls than she has daughters, and some of them actually stick out to me. Like, for example, the 3 blonde dolls that are in the corner of the living room, they kind of look like the movie characters. And then we have upstairs in one of the rooms a doll that looks like Loretta, and we have a cheerleader doll who seems to just move places, because first she's in the bedroom and then she's in the bar, living room, kitchen. I don't know what to make of it, but tell me your theories. Like, what do you think these dolls represent? Because my first thought was, there's one doll for each of the characters that we are seeing. There's one doll for Loretta, and there's one doll for everyone else. But I don't know if that makes sense. It would be fun though. But I looked for it and I couldn't really find correspondence to other characters. Now for Bev Mellon. Bev Mellon appearing and talking so earnestly about potentially firing the brother-sisters makes me believe that whatever Saz was going to tell Bev Mellon about had nothing to do with the brother-sisters, because clearly they could have been fired and someone else hired in their place. And during this episode, there's the general conclusion that whatever Saz was going to talk to Charles about was the same issue that she was going to talk to Bev about. In general, nothing much happens in this episode. It was funny as hell. Like, this episode was hilarious. Was it a rich episode in terms of investigation? No. Which is a bit weird because this is the 8th episode and there's only 2 more to go. But it was funny. It was hilarious. Like, at some point, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but at some point, the actress that was playing Bev Mellon was being so ridiculously hilarious that Selena Gomez could not keep a straight face. When she appeared drunk and she kissed Selena Gomez on the cheek, she was dying to laugh. She was cracking up. And when she was ranting about the actors and whatever, there's one shot where Selena Gomez is literally like this, laughing on the corner because she can't keep a straight face. Chef's kiss. The rest of the episode, Crickets. And then at the very end, we get we get one gigantic revelation, and we get something that was predictable. The gigantic revelation, of course, being the fact that this is all connected to season 1. But anyway, let's talk about Dudenoff. The Westies are the ones who have been collecting the checks. Who was surprised? No one. I will stick to the theory in my previous video, and the thing that makes me still believe they didn't do it is their reaction when Pink Eye Guy said they know. Because wasn't it just a little too obvious that the reaction was a bit like, evil person? Like, I think we're going to find out that they didn't actually kill Dudenoff, but they did incinerate him, or at least they knew about the death, and they knew to collect the checks. Because now I'm thinking that whoever is behind this, if the Westies were not the ones to find Dudenoff dead, and if the Westies were not the ones to kill Dudenoff, whoever is behind all of this, the Moriarty mastermind, they know. The Westies know. But given their reactions and given the fact that there's still 2 episodes to go, I don't think they did it. I don't think they are the ones behind Saz's murder or the shot to Glenn, and I don't think they actually killed Dudenoff. I think they're just taking advantage of it. Oh, and by the way, no news about Glenn? I want to know what happened to him. Is he dead? What the f*** is going on? Only murders. Sometimes. Really funny episode. Thank you for that. But follow up on the threads. Please follow up on the threads. But anyway, we will find out if the Westies really did murder Dudenoff or not in the next episode. But I still think there are bigger implications to this. Because the Dudenoff apartment has a lockbox. You have to enter a code to go in. How are you telling me that they all live on one floor and they hear someone coming into the lockbox and they're not suspicious about who it is? Remember when the trio was at the apartment? The Westies knew. The Westies went there. Are you telling me that someone else went there to kill Saz and they didn't notice a thing? They know. They know who else has the code. There's no way they don't know more about this. And of course they don't want to say anything because it's going to implicate them. Either the person who did all of this knows about their scheme, or somehow they think that by investigating that, the police will find out about their scheme. They're afraid. Not only because they're going to lose their homes, but by this point, they know Dudenoff is dead. They're benefiting from his checks. Bro gets more than $2,000 a month. So they would go to jail for this. All of them, the 5 of them would go to jail. So they have to know more. And they just have too much at stake to tell the police or tell anyone. They're protecting themselves, basically. Now about those damn actors. So, for the actors, as I've said, they didn't figure much out. And I know you're saying, oh, but they figured out that the Westies, as the people responsible for collecting the checks, are probably the one who did it. But are they? I don't think so. They are prime suspects at this point, and I will discuss them as suspects a little bit later. But I genuinely don't think they are the people who did it, because of the same reason I didn't think the brother-sisters did it when we found the footprint. The structure of the show doesn't allow it. Either one of them did it and we will find out that specific person later on, or none of them did it. Because think about it. If they are responsible for this, the first thing that the trio is going to do in the next episode is confront them. Maybe they will call Divine, maybe they won't call the detective. That's the first thing they're going to do, is confront them, because if they are the killers, then they can get them arrested and they will be safe. But the show cannot end in episode 9. There's another episode. And this is why I don't think they did it. Or if they are responsible, it's only one of them is responsible and the other ones will go free. But I mean, where is the suspense, you know? If the guilty are behind bars or if the guilty person is behind bars. One episode before the finale, where is the tension? It doesn't make sense. And also think about the revelations in previous seasons. It's always a second half of the last episode kind of thing. So I don't think they did it. The final boss, the Moriarty of Only Murders, will either be a character from season 1 that has been around the whole time, or will be a character recently introduced that has a lot of history to the past that we just weren't aware of. Bakula. And what? I'm still on the Bakula train. So I want to discuss the murder wall. Did I possibly replicate it? Yeah. Not all of it is there, and it's a mess, but I got some really good reflections out of this. First of all, the tinsel is still unexplained, and I've told you what I think. I think it's a stainless steel strip that is used for literally anything, and could have been used by the person who brought the gun there. And stainless steel strips are not flammable, so I think that's what it is. We shall see. Will we possibly never get an answer to this? Possibly. Yeah. We also have the Helga ticket up there, and this is one of the things that has to be coming back in the next episode or the finale is either Helga appearing on the Arconia or we finding out who Helga is, because we've met Helga. We've seen Helga. Otherwise, why is her face scratched off? I don't think Helga is Saz because Helga has braids. I mean, it could be a wig, but that would mean that Saz is alive, and you know how I feel about that theory. But yeah, we will meet Helga again. To me, it would make sense to reintroduce Helga in the next episode, because the most sensible thing to do would be for the trio to go to Detective Williams, go get the Westies, and then go get anyone in connection to the Westies, Helga, the sisters, and just question all of them. Will that happen? Probably not. They are not making the most logical decisions, so let's see. We actually get 2 great answers to some of the papers on Saz's desk. You know what I think about it. I think it's the clue to everything. And we finally get the answer to door note, which is referring to the note on Jen's door. And we get the answer to the ticket that says 2 notes, which is referring to the 2 notes having a different handwriting from Jen, which is referring to the note about Winnie's poisoning and the note on Jan's door, which have the same handwriting, which is not Jan's handwriting. But from Saz's desk, there's still a lot to figure out, and there's a big one with numbers. Some of them are crossed off, some of them are not. This has to be connected. I don't know how, it has to be connected. And then we also have on that damn murder wall, the jewels. The jewels from episode 1 in a big, big paper. And I know where this is going. I mean, I don't know. I assume what everyone is thinking. Is this secret business that Howard runs on the building and that maybe could be related to the jewels? And they also have Paradise with a question mark, which makes me believe that we will still learn more about that. But I don't know. It seems like another plot hole. And then from season 1, they brought back Howard's dead cat, Team Kono, the little thingies that say Hardy Boys. And above that is the note about Saz calling Bev Mellon about a problem in the movie. Why is the note about Saz calling Bev above the season 1 Hardy Boys, Howard Cat, Team Kono stuff? Because above that, it literally says season 1 has the tie-dye hoodie, the image for the season 1 podcast, and a paper saying podcast connection. Why is the paper about Saz calling Bev Mellon in between the stuff for season 1? Is it just because the movie is about season 1 and what Saz was going to tell Bev Mellon was probably about something in the Arconia building that started during season 1? I smell something fishy with that. Then we also have some of the suspects. We have a note that says toilet ham, which is really funny. We have a gigantic list of people who might hate Charles. And I mean, my delusional brain immediately goes back to my initial theory that it's someone in Charles's past who is trying to get revenge for something. That list is huge. I don't know what he's done in his past life, in the past in his life. And I was trying to see if bakula was there, and I couldn't tell. And one other thing that we see is what I think is the note left for Lester about fixing the window. Now I will touch on this later, because tables have turned, and Lester is looking more suspicious by the day. And then the only other information we can see is the Y card pointing to Charles being the suspect, potentially because someone who hates him is doing this, potentially because someone from his past who wants revenge is doing this. And then we see the Why Now card pointing to what Saz was possibly going to tell Charles on the day she was killed. This is something we already know. Now, what the fuck is going on in this building? Potentially since season 1, potentially even before then. At this point, the two main suspects will very obviously be Howard and Jen. Howard is a fan favorite to be this Moriarty type of character. I think there have been discussions about the fact that he lives in an incredibly expensive building and doesn't seem to have a job. And I honestly kind of enjoy this theory, this fact that he could be like a criminal mastermind, somehow doing some kind of shady business in the Arconia, and that's why he wanted the podcast ended. I mean, this would be a fun theory because it would justify why he's so involved in the podcast now, why he's so involved with the trio. He's practically like a fourth member at this point. And it would be a satisfying conclusion, I guess, if he was the one behind all of this. Also because I'm pretty sure he's a fan favorite. Like, I think everyone likes Howard. He's endearing and he's funny. So yeah, that's the number one bet for anyone is going to be Howard. That's for sure. Do I want it to be him? No, I don't. And the second bet will be Jen, but come on, there's no way Jen did it. She was in the second episode, right, this season, and I'm pretty sure she just left to investigate. I think that she's going to either return next episode or in the final episode, and she will have information. Like, Jen will know stuff. She's probably doing her investigation right now, and she will go through the same path that Saz went, and she will find out. Don't know if it will be helpful. Maybe she arrives and the trio already figured everything out. Let's see. But she will definitely make an appearance, and I don't think she's the one behind this. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if it's one of the trio? No. Just no. No. No trio. Someone else. And right now, the only people that actually make sense and would fit the current narrative of it being happening since season 1, since the podcast started, because someone is afraid that the podcast will expose something else on the building. The only people that actually fit, apart from the theories relating Howard, the only people we have actual evidence that they were committing a crime this whole time are the Westies. And we know that Saz found out about the Westies. And if we can believe Helga, we also know that it was after she found out about what was happening in the West Tower that she was shot. I know that there are a lot of theories saying that Saz is Helga, and this is all the faking her death scenario. If that's the case, that's fine. But I'm not going to see it like that because I don't want that to be truth. So if we are to believe Helga, that she was telling the truth, that Saz was shot after she found out the stuff that was going on with the West Tower. The Westies are the most likely suspects to have done this. So Saz makes sense. But why Glenn? What did he know? Is it like, did Saz like confide in him? I don't think anyone would confide in that man. So probably not. So why shoot Glenn? And I mean, if they were aiming at Oliver, why Oliver? He was in the middle of, in a sea of Olivers. Why not shoot Mabel or Charles, who are much more distinguishable? But my main issue with it being the Westies is just the structure. It's too soon to know who the killer is. Like, we will only get the real revelation second half of the last episode. And I even think that the reveal, if it isn't someone from season 1 that we've known all along, it's going to be a reveal kind of like the brother-sisters reveal, that they are connected to the Arconia and have been around for a long time, we just didn't know them. They were just introduced in this season or something. It wouldn't be the greatest reveal. It wouldn't have the most impact with the audience, but I don't know how much they care about the impact that it has on the audience. Because if this is what they're building towards, the clearest answer is Howard. However, TV shows tend to have this thing where they don't like when the audience figures it out. Like, do y'all remember Gossip Girl? The way that everyone figured out Eric was the one behind it, and then they changed it and made it Dan. So, yeah, I don't know how it's going to turn out. It depends on the kind of people or artists the showrunners really are. At this point, I would prefer a Howard reveal that rather than a fake death reveal. That's my standing. Who do you think it is? Because I'm still hoping it's Bakula. However, I don't have that much trouble with abandoning certain theories and picking up new ones, because after all of this, I'm thinking about Lester, because he's been around forever. He's been around since season 1, and he's been around in the Arconia forever. Like, I'm pretty sure he's been the, what do you call it? The guy, the guy at the door for a long, long time. So he would know the Arconia like the back of his hand. You know what I mean? If someone was running a criminal scheme in the building, wouldn't it be Lester? And if someone else was running a criminal scheme in the building, at least in the East Tower, wouldn't Lester know? And also, doesn't he have a key to the apartments? Because when the note was left for Lester to replace Charles's window, Charles was in LA. So how would he have gotten in unless he had like a master key? Because we know that the person has to have access to the apartments to place the hidden cameras. And yes, I think someone else will die at the end of this season. The only thing I don't want is for the mystery to continue to the next season. Like, I want to know who's been doing this since season 1 in this season. Please, only murders. Please do not carry this into the next season. Please. Anyway, that's everything I have for you today. And by the way, I almost recorded this at the public library because guess what? Guess what? A fire and a flooding was not enough. This morning, like last night, there was a huge storm, mostly like rain and wind, no thunder, unfortunately. And this morning we woke up with like branches on the floor, a tree down, not in my backyard, but like down the road, and the freaking electricity cables torn to shreds. What else can happen at this point? This winter is going to be harsh. I just can't tell. If October is like this, like, In one of our coastal cities, there were reports of waves reaching like 6 meters or 8 meters or something like that. For reference, I used to work in that coastal city. I worked there for a year as a psychologist working with victims of violence. And in November, one of my clients told me that she went for a swim in the ocean in November of 2021. Can you imagine? And now it's barely the middle of October and there's like 6-meter waves. Anyway, we got electricity back pretty soon because the people work really well here. So I got to record this in my little cozy corner. Otherwise, well, a public library is very cozy as well. But yeah. Let's all vote what disaster is coming next. We've had fire, flood, and windy storm. It's usually not like this. It's usually a really calm place to live. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, goodbye, my little peas, my little petals, my little peanut butter sandwiches.